Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1875B, and today's date is May 23rd, 2019, and the title of the episode is Deep State Already Lost, and They Don't Know It Yet. Transparency is the Only Way Forward. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about the threats nowadays in America, especially with the caravans bombarding the border. One of the best things you can invest in for your home protection is a Patriot flashlight. And why not purchase one of the best flashlights on the market? It has life-saving emergency strobe lights. You can charge your phone anywhere, anytime, with a USB port. Other features include compass, rope, wire cutter, solar-powered recharging, high and low beam LED modes, glass-breaking hammer. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance you can get yours at a discount before they sell out. Purchase the best flashlight on the market and get 20% off when you use the code X20. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they're pushing their agenda. The problem is they don't even realize that they lost yet. They still believe that they still have a chance to come out ahead of all of this. But the truth, the facts, the documentation, it is going to bring them down. And we'll be talking about that in just a minute. Now, we know that yesterday Tillerson snuck into the House and he was talking about Russia and how Trump was cozying up to Putin and all this stuff. Well, Trump decided to fire back at Tillerson. He tweeted out the following. Rex Tillerson, a man who is as dumb as a rock and totally ill-prepared and ill-equipped to be Secretary of State, made up a story. He got fired that I was out-prepared by Putin at a meeting in Hamburg, Germany. I don't think Putin would agree. Look how the U.S. is doing. And once again, all of these players, they are all trying to stop Trump. Well, are they really trying to stop Trump, or are they trying to stop what Trump is about to do? Because this will expose each and every one of these people. I mean, this is the end game here. I mean, this is where the buck stops. This is where the truth comes out, and these people have nothing to hide behind. I mean, all the propaganda in the world is not going to work. I mean, look what Pelosi's doing. She's claiming that Trump threw a temper tantrum in the meeting yesterday. And we know he came out to the Rose Garden and he talked about the cover-up. Well, he tweeted out the following. In a letter to her House colleagues, Nancy Pelosi said, President Trump had a temper tantrum for us all to see. This is not true. I was purposely very polite and calm, much as I was minutes later with the press in the Rose Garden. Can be easily proven. It is all such a lie. He continued, I was extremely calm yesterday with my meetings with Pelosi and Schumer, knowing that they would say I was raging, which they always do, along with their partner, the fake news media. Well, so many stories about the meeting use the rage narrative anyway. Fake and corrupt press. So why are they pushing this story? They want to show Trump is unstable, and he flips out at a moment's notice. That he's, oh my God, it's a cover-up while I'm flipping out and I'm angry. Again, this will be proven to be false. Trump has been doing business for a very long time, and he understands with business, you don't freak out. You don't all of a sudden blow up. That's not how you win a negotiation. So do you really think he really flipped out in the meeting? No. You never give up your position. You never give the opposition what they want. So you do the opposite. You stay calm. You put on a poker face. And you show that it doesn't bother you in the least. That's what he does. Any negotiator doesn't all of a sudden flip out and start screaming and yelling. I mean, think about yourself. When you're at an automobile car dealership and you're trying to make a deal, do you get up from the table and scream and yell and push papers all over the place? No, you sit there and you say, you know what? I really don't like this deal. I think I'm going to go someplace. And you do it very calmly. This way, they this person really doesn't want to do it? Wait, don't leave. That's how you win. Same thing with any other type of game. Poker, that's why it's a poker face. You don't show emotion. And Trump has been doing business for a very long time. And guess what? He's not going to show emotion. Now, we see that the deep state, they are pushing their agenda on Trump's personal finances. We see another federal judge appointed by Barack Obama has ruled that the House Democrats can subpoena Trump's personal and business finance records. Maxine Waters, she is out there and she's saying that she's already obtained President Trump's financial documents from Wells Fargo and TD Bank. And Wells Fargo and TD Bank are the 2 of 9 institutions that have so far complied with subpoenas issued by the House Financial Services Committee demanding information about their dealings with Trump Organization. And this is according to sources. Does this mean it's true? Well, we don't know. Who are the sources? We don't know. So, Representative Maxine Waters sent subpoenas to Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Royal Bank of Canada, and Toronto Dominion Bank and JP Morgan Chase. And even if she does have it, it makes no difference. Let's break this all down here. Trump denies his tax returns during the elections, states they are being audited by the IRS. Remember, there's no law that states you have to turn over your tax returns. The Patriots, they knew that the deep state, they were going to pursue his financial records, his business, his family. So Trump pushed back. He wanted to because he wanted the deep state to push their agenda. Think about this for a second. With no crime, no collusion, no obstruction, the deep state is now pushing and receiving maybe some of his records. This is going to show nothing. It's going to be a nothing burger. But Trump and the Patriots just allowed them to set a precedent. What is a precedent? An early event or action that is regarded as an example or guide to be considered in subsequent similar circumstances. And let's take Elijah Cummings, for instance. A watchdog group asked the IRS to investigate the overlap between Rocky Moore's nonprofit Center for Global Policy Solutions and her for-profit consulting firm Global Policy Solutions, LLC, to determine whether the arrangement was used for illegal private benefits. Now, of course, Elijah Cummings out there saying that this is ridiculous, there's nothing here, nothing to see, and the IRS is wrong. It's fabricated. Well, it seems that they do have information and they're looking into it. What does this mean? This means that if they get Trump's financial records, which I believe they are trapping them to do this, because this way they can turn it around and say, well, listen, you did this to me, we can do this to you. And guess what? His are going to show nothing. Theirs, well, that's where the problem is. And they just trap themselves completely. Let's go back to post 642. Q says from this video, this is Tucker Carlson looking at Maxine Waters, how did Maxine Waters afford a $4.3 million mansion? That's kind of odd. Post 2087. Q says, Maxine Waters, California ranking member. How do you obstruct oversight? How do you obtain inside knowledge to closed-door financial investigations? Maxine Waters, California ranking member. Those who are the loudest have the most to fear, hide. And hide is in brackets in bold. Post 2699 gave us a link to ClerkHouse.gov, and this is the financial records, financial disclosure report of Maxine Waters. And in this it says, what does a dog do when he or she has a bone? Well, they bury it. You are the news now. Now, this whole thing is a trap, and they set it up from the very beginning. They already knew they were going to be coming after them. As soon as Trump said, I'm not handing over my tax returns, they knew that they were going to come after Trump, all his financial dealings, because they're looking to find something. Remember, think mirror. Who has problems in their financial dealings? All those people that are investigating Trump. This was a trap that was set by the Patriots. Now, 2 reports back, we talked about Comey and Lynch and how they were pointing fingers at each other, where Comey said Lynch told him to call the Clinton email investigation a matter, and Lynch says she never said this. Well, there was someone else in the room. Rosie Membos tweeted out the following. Whoops. Rubicki was in the room when Lynch told Comey to call the Clinton email investigation a matter. So she's claiming both of them lied. There were a few people in the meeting. Should be pretty easy to get the truth because someone should be charged with lying to Congress. Now again, who was lying? Now there's someone else in the room and there's others in the room. Guess what? We're going to find out very, very soon. Mark Meadows tweeted out the following. James Comey's story has already changed multiple times, and within days you'll see it change yet again. It'll go from the FBI didn't spy or wiretap to FBI didn't break the law while we spied and wiretapped. The sham investigation of POTUS ran wild. He knew it. He allowed it. And yes, they're going to continually change their story. Remember, if anyone out there is expecting all these players to admit that they did something wrong, you are never going to hear it. If you think the mainstream media is out there going to say, okay, all our stories were wrong and we're going to correct them now, we reported on something completely different. They're never going to do this. To the day they go to prison, they're always going to show that they did nothing. Even when the documents are presented in front of a court with their signatures, and it shows that, yes, they did this before there were warrants, they will never admit it, ever. So if you're expecting that, get that out of your head. This is why Trump, the Patriots, this is why they need the documentation with their signatures, because this is going to show that they've lied. This is going to show that they committed treason. Remember that. Now, it's all starting to unravel for the deep state. Halper, as we know, was an FBI informant, and he needed a way to get to George Papadopoulos. And this brings us to Sam Clovis. Sam Clovis, a former national co-chairman of the Trump campaign, is one of 3 Trump figures known to have been contacted by FBI informant Stefan Halper during the 2016 presidential campaign. Clovis received an email out of the blue from Halper, whom he did not know, on August 29, 2016, after Halper had been in touch with Carter Page and just before he contacted George Papadopoulos. Clovis, who is not suspected of any wrongdoing, he's already testified and he'd been interviewed for something like 19 hours by his own count before Special Counsel Robert Mueller. And he also testified in front of Mueller's grand jury and before the House and Senate Intelligence Committees. Now, during all that testifying, Clovis never knew about Halper's connection to the FBI. Only recently, from news reports, has Clovis learned about Halper's true role. And that has prompted Clovis to replay his brief and seemingly inconsequential encounter with Halper in light of a wealth of new information. It began with that August 29th, 2016 email. Now, the whole conversation revolved around China. And Clovis was saying, okay, this seems a little strange. Didn't mention Russia, didn't mention anything. And the reason for that is because Clovis wasn't the target. Halper was trying to use Clovis to get to George Papadopoulos. That was the whole plan here. Go through Clovis to get to George Papadopoulos. And this is exactly what happened. So Clovis's theory is that Halper was trying to link Papadopoulos and the 30,000 plus emails that Hillary Clinton unilaterally deleted from her private email system. Halper was hoping that somebody would bite in the campaign. His goal was to drag George into this to say the Trump campaign tried to get access to those emails from Russia. At the time, it's fair to say that no one in the room knew that Halper was an FBI informant. It was only later that the House committee's work led to the discovery of Halper's role. But guess what? They failed. This is what they tried to do. George Papadopoulos tweeted out the following. The president knows he and his campaign were set up by the UK and Australia, as well as a rogue FBI CIA. The UK and Australia were in on it voluntarily, not by accident. When he takes the unprecedented step to declassify the FISA materials, he will be doing it for America's honor. And that is absolutely true. And we know that Trump is going to be visiting the UK. So Devin Nunes, sent a letter to Trump asking him to question British Prime Minister Theresa May about Britain's role in the FBI investigation into the Trump campaign and Russia. And the inquiry would be significant, and it is based on newly published information in the British newspaper The Telegraph, revealing that former British spy Christopher Steele briefed May's spy chiefs on the uncorroborated dossier. Nunes said the American people need to know how this hoax began, who perpetrated it, and whether any foreign governments or intelligence services were involved. Now, John Solomon, he filed a motion asking the FISA court to unseal evidence of wrongdoing in Russia collusion. So he filed this motion. The Southeastern Legal Foundation released a statement, and it says the following. The Southeastern Legal Foundation filed a motion for publication of records with the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court on behalf of award-winning investigative reporter John Solomon and itself, seeking rulings, orders, and opinions issued by the court findings any of the attorneys associated with Carter Page FISA application violated rules of the court or rules governing professional conduct by attorneys. Southeastern Legal Foundation successfully pursued bar sanctions against sitting President Bill Clinton, ultimately resulting in the surrender of his law license on the last day in office and disbarment by the U.S. Supreme Court. This is 1998 to 2001 as part of the agreed order of discipline from the independent counsel Robert Ray. We face a serious crisis of public confidence in our judicial system. Our nation's highest law enforcement officers and government attorneys are suspected of lying, misleading, and withholding information from the FISC in order to obtain permission to conduct surveillance on U.S. citizens. Carter Page, said Todd Young, SLF Executive Director. If true, even in part, one of the most profound ways to help reestablish public trust in the rule of law is to hold these attorneys professionally and publicly accountable for their alleged grievous violations of law and public trust. John Solomon tweeted out the following. Tonight, with the Southeastern Legal Foundation's help, I filed a motion asking the FISA court to unseal evidence of wrongdoing or disciplinary actions in the Russia collusion case. America will benefit if we can achieve some transparency. And guess what? We need transparency. It's the only way to move forward. Mark Meadows says America is going to be shocked when this all comes out. Take a listen.
And I can tell you there's information coming that will curl your hair. I can tell you that the reason why it's so visceral, the response from the Democrats is so visceral right now, is because they know, they've seen documents. Adam Schiff has seen documents that he knows will actually put the finger pointing back at him and his Democrat colleagues, not the President of the United States.
And people are going to be shocked. People are going to be angry. People are not going to believe. People are going to be pissed. People are going to say Trump is lying. They're going to say this is a political hit against the Democrats. It's a hit against the FBI, Department of Justice. He's trying to get back at us. Now, the only thing that Trump and the Patriots have is that this is not propaganda. They have the documentation. They have the signatures. They have the logs. And guess what? It's all of their signatures. It's what they wrote. It's what they did. When the spying started, when they tried to get the warrants, this was all of their doing. They never thought she was going to lose. So if she wasn't going to lose, why hide anything? They didn't have to, right? But now that Trump came in office, holy moly, everything is sitting out in the open. Everyone can see it, and everyone knows what happened. This is why they're pushing so hard to get rid of Trump. They're trying to find anything. And yes, people are starting to go quiet a little bit. And I'm not talking about those people that are on the front line. I'm talking to people behind the scenes, like Obama, Clinton. Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. Shh, hear that? It's the deafening silence of Barack Obama, who's suddenly gone to ground as Spygate scandals draw nearer and calls for him to be questioned under oath. No U.S. speaking events, appearances. Organizing for action, quietly removed from his website. Fewer tweets. I guess they know what's coming. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these people try to run or suicide themselves, because when everything hits, all fingers are going to be pointed at them. Now, the deep state, they're going to do everything they possibly can to try to stop any of this. Now, remember, we might see events, we might see things happen. We're going to see a lot more things come out about Trump's financial records. They're going to make a really big deal out of nothing, and they're going to make it seem like they have something when they really don't. But they're going to play it up really, really big. But what we do see them doing, and this has already been planned for by the Patriots, we see that the Democrats, they're waging war on the Electoral College. Remember, they wanted to get rid of the Electoral College. That's how Trump got elected. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to pass laws in all these states. The Nevada Senate on Tuesday passed a bill that would give the state's Electoral College votes to the candidate who wins the popular vote. The bill passed on a party line vote 12-8, and the legislation was sent to Democrat Governor Steve Sisolak to be signed. So if the governor signs the bill, Nevada will join 14 other states along with the District of Columbia to join the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Here are some of the other states: Connecticut, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Washington, Vermont, California, Rhode Island, New York, Colorado, Delaware, New Mexico. Remember, our founding fathers wanted to give a voice to Middle America and less densely populated states, so they came up with the best system to represent America, the Electoral College. Now, if we go back to post 570, Q already warned us of this. This is from January of 2018. Q says, removal of Electoral College, popular vote, easier manipulation, illegal votes, Soros machines. So right there, Q was telling us this is what they were going to do. They were going to try to remove the Electoral College. Then we moved to post 2610. And Anon says, will voter fraud be exposed before January? Q said no. 2019 push voter ID based on verifiable intel fraud. 2020 plus safeguarded. So they used the midterms to gather all the evidence to push voter ID. Post 2855. Q says they will stop at nothing to regain power. Time to adopt voter ID law. Now remember, they want to use the popular vote. How do they get the popular vote? They used illegals. And they use people who are not real citizens of the United States. And they bring them in and they have them vote. And this is how they get the popular vote. What happens if you're issued a voter ID and you need to be a citizen? Guess what? There goes their popular vote. They're screwed. Even though they have the electoral votes going to the popular vote, they don't have their weapon of increasing the popular vote. Q and team have already prepared for this. And we're going to see that coming out very, very soon. We see that crime is now down in America. Assistant Attorney General Williams, well, the Attorney General is out there reporting that, wow, in the first 6 months of 2018, we're seeing a reduction in violent crime. The number shows a 6.7% decline in murders, a 12.5% decline in robbery, and a 12.7% decline in burglary compared to the first 6 months of 2017. Do you think it's because a lot less illegals are coming into the country? Yes, I do believe that is part of it. And yes, they do have other programs that are set up with neighborhood watches and things like that, but we know a lot of the crimes were committed by illegals coming into this country. Now, out in Iran, we see something very interesting happening. First, we see the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has expressed discontent over the way the implementation of the Embattled Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, also known as the Iranian Deal, or the JCPOA, was handled. So what did he say? He said that he did not approve of the JCPOA, but allowed for the negotiations to be held. The way the JCPOA was handled, I did not really believe in it, and mentioned this to the President Hassan Rouhani and the Foreign Minister Zarif, and had warned them several times. So it looks like there's been a division in Iran. There are certain players that deal with Obama, John Kerry, and many others who wanted the deal because it benefited them. And then we had the Iranian Supreme Leader who said he didn't like this deal. He didn't like the way it was being handled. I wonder what the problem is. And we all know what it is. Obama paid off certain individuals in Iran. The European individuals, the governments of different countries within Europe, they were benefiting from this. And what did Trump do? He shut it down. And now there's a lot of pressure on these individuals. This is why Kerry is out there. This is why Obama's out there. This is why all these people are out there trying to stop from what is happening. Because once it's exposed, they are exposed. And that's what they're worried about. Now, Matt Gaetz, it seems like he laid out the Trump doctrine of America first. First, he criticized the forever war in Afghanistan. He said, and this is what he tweeted, "We have been in Afghanistan for nearly 2 decades. It is the longest war in our nation's history. In Afghanistan, after 2 decades have passed, trillions spent, and thousands of American lives lost, the situation on the ground is actually getting worse." He went on to comment about the follies of nation building. The examples of Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, just to name a few, teach us that it is an illusion to think that just beyond the life of every dictator lies a peaceful democracy, rather than generations of anarchy, violence, terrorism, and chaos. Gaetz also highlighted the importance of strong borders and how America must focus on securing its own borders instead of fighting for other countries' interests. The Trump doctrine would prioritize securing the U.S. border with Mexico before we send Americans to die on the Saudi border with Yemen. Stronger borders, energy dominance, and a thriving American economy do more for America's security than ill-fated interventionist excursions. And one of the high points of Gaetz' speech was his direct shot at defense interests and other groups. He said real morality and real toughness is standing up to the pro-war special interest and globalist power brokers. Real morality is affirming forever that the blood of American troops is not for sale. And this is what Trump has been trying to stop. He's trying to stop these endless wars. He's not trying to start new wars, even though the mainstream media and others are out there saying he's starting a war. No, he's getting rid of the deep state operatives within these countries. Once they're out, guess what? There's going to be peace. We're not going to invade. He's not going to endanger the people of other countries. This is not how he works. He's a negotiator. Now, we know, and we said this in the first report, that the establishment, they're starting to show their true colors. They see people waking up, and this is their biggest fear, because they can't put them back to sleep. They're losing control. So what do? They lash out. They censor. They hide people. They get rid of them. This is the only way they know. Because if these people are allowed to speak, guess what? More people listen and they wake up. And once you have a lot of people waking up, you can't put all these people back to sleep. So EU President Jean-Claude Juncker, remember, non-elected leader, lashed out at stupid nationalists. They are in love with their own countries. Yes, they are. People love their countries. They don't love the leaders that are not doing right by them, but they love the countries that they are in. And he's saying this on the eve of the European elections. And this is very, very revealing because the globalists hate nationalists. They don't like people loving their country. They don't like having these separate countries. And the people around the world, they're rejecting the globalists. They're rejecting the non-elected leaders. They're rejecting the central bank system. And the movement has started, and it's spreading. And it's spreading from country to country. That means people are waking up. Once you get a movement where a lot of people are waking up, more people will wake up. And guess what? They can't stop it. Once you're awake, you know the truth. And people do research. People look into things. And people say, why haven't I been told this? Why is the mainstream media hiding this? Why aren't those leaders telling me the truth of what they really did? This is their biggest fear. And it's happening right now. And they can't stop it. Actually, nothing can stop this. Transparency is the only way forward. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.